Ethiopia, a vast and ancient nation of over 120 million people, sits in the Horn of Africa, close to the Red Sea, yet completely landlocked. Once Ethiopia controlled its own coastline, but now it's surrounded by neighbors who hold the keys to the sea. This landlocked status is more than a map detail. It's a daily economic and strategic constraint. Ethiopia relies almost entirely on Djibouti's port for trade, paying hundreds of millions in fees each year. This dependency drains the economy and leaves Ethiopia vulnerable to political or logistical disruptions beyond its control. Leaders in Addis Ababa see this as a national humiliation, a prison that stifles their ambitions. The lack of direct sea access shapes Ethiopia's foreign policy and fuels a deep desire to reclaim what was lost. For many Ethiopians, the Red Sea is a symbol of power, independence, and a connection to the world. The drive to break free from this geographic prison is now a central, urgent goal for the nation. The question is no longer if Ethiopia will seek the sea, but how far it's willing to go. This is the story of a landlocked giant determined to change its fate. Ethiopia wasn't always landlocked. Its loss of the coastline is a recent painful chapter. The roots lie in the late 19th century, when Italy colonized Eritrea, carving it from Ethiopian territory. After World War II, Eritrea was federated with Ethiopia, preserving access to the sea, until Emperor Haile Selassie annexed it in 1962. This sparked a brutal 30-year war, ending in 1991 with Eritrean independence. Overnight, Ethiopia lost its entire 1,000-kilometer coastline, including the vital ports of Assab and Massawa. The economic and strategic shock was immediate and profound. Ethiopia, then with 50 million people, became the world's most populous landlocked country. Relations with Eritrea quickly soured, leading to a devastating border war and cementing Ethiopia's isolation from the sea. Forced to reroute all trade through Djibouti, Ethiopia built new infrastructure, but at a staggering cost. The loss of the coast remains a national trauma, a mistake many believe must be reversed. This history drives Ethiopia's relentless quest for a way back to the sea. Frustration over being landlocked has become a rallying cry in Ethiopian politics. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed now frames sea access as an existential need, not just an economic wish. The government's new doctrine is clear: a nation of 120 million cannot depend on neighbors for survival. The rhetoric is emotional and historical. Reclaiming the sea is cast as correcting a historic injustice. This message resonates deeply, fueling national pride and a sense of destiny. Ethiopia is no longer content with better port deals. It wants sovereign, permanent access. The language has grown sharper, with officials hinting at force if diplomacy fails. This assertive stance has alarmed neighbors, especially Eritrea, and turned sea access into a national security priority. Ethiopia's quest is now a defining issue, one that could reshape the entire region. When Ethiopia talks about regaining sea access, one name dominates: Assab. This Eritrean port, once developed by Ethiopia, is the closest and most logical gateway for its economy. Before Eritrea's independence, Assab was Ethiopia's main maritime lifeline, complete with a refinery and direct road links to Addis Ababa. Today, Ethiopia spends hundreds of millions annually on Djibouti's port fees, money that could be saved with access to Assab. Beyond economics, Assab offers strategic value, a potential naval base, and a foothold on the Red Sea. For Ethiopia, this isn't just about trade, it's about sovereignty, power, and regional influence. Control over Assab would reduce Ethiopia's vulnerability and elevate its geopolitical standing. The port's location, in a sparsely populated region with ties to Ethiopia's Afar community, makes it a tempting target. Assab has become the centerpiece of Ethiopia's bold new foreign policy. The stakes are high, and the ambitions even higher. For Ethiopia, Assab is the key to unlocking its future. Ethiopia's quest for sea access is tangled in the volatile politics of its north. The Tigray War, 2020-2022, saw Ethiopia and Eritrea as allies against the TPLF, but peace quickly fractured that alliance. Eritrea, excluded from the Pretoria Agreement, felt betrayed as the TPLF survived politically. Tensions rose as Eritrean troops lingered in Tigray, straining relations with Addis Ababa. Now, reports suggest a tactical alliance between Eritrea and the TPLF, both seeking to counter Abiy's centralizing ambitions. For Eritrea, supporting the TPLF keeps Ethiopia distracted. For the TPLF, it's a lifeline. This new alignment has reignited instability, with fresh clashes in the Afar region. The north is once again a flashpoint, directly tied to Ethiopia's Red Sea ambitions. The web of alliances is shifting, and the stakes are higher than ever. Ethiopia's leaders see threats on two fronts: internal rebellion from the TPLF and external hostility from Eritrea. The fear is that these could merge into an existential crisis for the state. Addis Ababa accuses Eritrea of using the TPLF as a proxy to destabilize Ethiopia and block its Red Sea ambitions. This sense of encirclement fuels talk of preemptive action. Some strategists argue that striking first, especially to seize Assab, could solve multiple problems at once. Both countries have massed troops along the border, creating a hair-trigger situation. Satellite images show military buildups near the strategic corridor to Assab. Accusations and mobilizations on both sides have made war seem increasingly likely. The logic of a preemptive strike is dangerously persuasive as tensions escalate. Ethiopia stands at a crossroads: wait and risk encirclement, or act and risk catastrophe. The rewards for Ethiopia, if it secures Assab, are enormous. Economically, it would save hundreds of millions, boost exports, and attract investment. Strategically, a Red Sea port and naval base would transform Ethiopia into a true regional power. The country would gain leverage in international forums and with global powers invested in the Red Sea, but the risks are just as great. War with Eritrea would be catastrophic, potentially deadlier than the Tigray conflict, with millions displaced. The region could be plunged into chaos, disrupting global trade and drawing in outside powers. Even a military victory could mean a costly, prolonged occupation and international isolation. The price of war could far outweigh any gains. Ethiopia faces a stark choice: prosperity through peace, or devastation through conflict. As of late 2025, the Horn of Africa teeters on the edge of war. The peace after the Tigray conflict has dissolved into a tense military standoff. Ethiopia and Eritrea, once uneasy allies, now see each other as existential threats. Diplomatic efforts by regional and global powers are underway, but the core dispute remains unresolved. Ethiopia's demand for sea access and Eritrea's defense of its sovereignty are irreconcilable, at least for now. Both sides know the cost of war, but their armies remain mobilized, and the risk of miscalculation is immense. The region faces a crossroads. One path leads to devastating war, the other to a difficult negotiated peace. The deep ties between Ethiopians and Eritreans are under strain as never before. The dream of a peaceful, integrated Horn of Africa hangs in the balance. The world watches, hoping wisdom prevails over pride and ambition. The next move will shape the fate of millions, and the future